In this video, I'm going to be trying to improve my painting. Now, firstly, you may notice that I'm in a different area today filming, and that's because my girlfriend needed the kitchen table to do some uni work. Ugh. I can't wait until we move out in June and I can get a dedicated hobby space. Not only will it be better for actually hobbying, but it will also be better for these videos because there'll be a nice little set that I can make. Now, onto the actual topic of the video. So this week I finally got round to painting the Saurus Oldblood from my Seraphon Start Collecting box. I got this box months ago and so far I've only painted 3 models. I had planned to do a Stormtrooper video this week, and though I have filmed it, I've painted it and everything, I started painting this Saurus Oldblood this week and I enjoyed the process so much and feel that I achieved some pretty cool things. I just had to share it this week. So the Stormtrooper video is coming, but it's coming next week. So when I sat down to paint this Saurus Oldblood, I had 2 main goals in mind. One was to use colours that I don't normally use and really push that colour scheme to make it look pretty awesome. And then the second was to do an attempt at gold NMM. And for those of you that don't know, NMM means non-metallic metal. This would be my first time ever trying to do gold NMM, so I was quite nervous about doing it. The colours I ended up going for this Saurus Oldblood was blue and red. I don't use these colours anywhere near often enough. Whenever I get to choose what colours I'm doing, because it's not dictated by a chapter colour scheme or something, I normally go for purple or orange. So it's fun to push my limits and go for different colours for once. Now, the number one piece of advice that I would give to anybody that's wanting to improve their colour scheme and their paint job in general is to push the contrast. Regardless of your skill level and regardless of the techniques you know, if you push the contrast on your paint scheme, it will look better. It will add a lot more drama to the model. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. Once I laid down my first highlights, I did it again, 2 or 3 times, making sure to push further and further each time. And this doesn't mean just adding more white to the highlights and more black to the shadows. You want to keep your colour palette rich. Try throwing in some dark purples in the shadows and mixing a bone colour or another natural colour into your highlights. The top highlight I used on the green skin was bone colour. On the shield it was orange, and on the scales it was a blue-grey. As long as I made sure that the mid-tone that took up most of the surface area was the colour I wanted that piece to appear, generally speaking, that area will register as that colour regardless of your highlight. So again, my number one tip to improve the overall appearance of your models is to push your contrast. You'll be amazed at where it can take you. Now, non-metallic metal is easily a subject that I could do a whole other video on, but in this one I want to keep it short. I'm just going to give a brief explanation of what it is, and I want to show you how my first attempt at gold NMM turned out. But you know that already because you've seen the thumbnail. So what is NMM? Non-metallic metal is exactly what it says on the tin. And I just realised that I wrote a pun into this script. Nice! It's painting the metal areas on a miniature in non-metallic paints. The reason people like to do this is because metallic paints are great for getting your army on the table, but they don't react the same way metal does in the real world. As you can see here, this small piece of metal is very reactive to its surroundings. When pointed out the window to the sky, it takes on a blue colour. Pointed at the table, and the colour of the table is reflected. There are also some pretty dramatic shadows cast upon the metal at certain angles. You simply do not achieve this with metallic paint. So non-metallic metal is an attempt to replicate the way it acts in the real world. For my first attempt at gold NMM, I'm not going to concentrate too much on making sure that the metal reacts the same way that would in real life if it was on that shaped surface. So what I mean by this is a metal sphere would have very different shadows to a metal cube. It all depends on what shape it is. I'm not going to concern myself with the shape of the model too much. I just want to make something that is visually appealing and exciting and registers as metal. I start with a dark brown over the whole area that I want to be gold. Then I start to sketch in where I'm going to be adding highlights using a reddish brown. In terms of shadow placement, I just go with what feels right. So I add a bit under the guy's chin and another around the shoulder area to break up what would otherwise be a really long stretch of highlight. The rest of the process is simply layering up the highlight areas, transitioning from brown through yellow, bone and white. Whilst I was really happy with how it was looking, what really tied it all together was the edge highlighting. I don't know why, but it really lifted the whole effect. So for my first time doing gold NMM, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. There's still obviously a lot I can work on, such as the smoothness between the transition of colours, adding the highlights and shadows where it would be based on the shape of the metal. That's a bit advanced for me. And adding a glaze that would act as a reflection. So as I showed earlier, how on that little tin lid, the colour of the table was reflected on the metal, I would do a colour that would represent the surroundings of the model's in. Now that all of it is painted and the gold now that the model's done, why don't we have a little look on a spinning table? So there we go. I pushed the contrast and I enjoyed doing my first bit of NMM. I'm really happy with how it turned out. If you'd like to see more videos, make sure to subscribe. If you liked this one, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below what your first experience of NMM was like, or if you like to push the contrast loads, just comment. Let's start a conversation. I like talking to you guys. And there's not much else to say other than that, except, oh wait, next week's a Stormtrooper video, but I have got a few more Seraphon videos coming, so more lizard men are coming, including one video about the magic of dry brushing, because that's one of my favourite techniques to getting things done quickly. I want to demonstrate how it's done effectively. So yes, that's everything now. Thank you for watching, thank you for potentially subscribing and liking and commenting, and until next time, I'll see you later.